Hello friends, welcome to spoken tutorial of 8051 Interrupts Programming Part 2. Let's recap. In previous tutorial we learned about interrupts versus polling, concept of interrupt service routine, available interrupts in 8051, SFR related to interrupts. After completion of this tutorial, you will be able to develop program using timer interrupt, concept of level trigger and edge trigger interrupt, develop program for external interrupt, use interrupt in serial communication, concept of interrupt priority, describe SFRs related to interrupts. Let's start with timer interrupts. The timer flag is raised when the timer rolls over. We all know that in polling TF we have to wait until TF flag is raised. The problem with this method is that the microcontroller is tied down while waiting for TF to be raised and cannot do anything else. So microcontroller is busy in observing the status of TF flag continuously. We cannot utilize microcontroller for any other task during this observation. This can be overcome by using interrupt. Using interrupts solves this problem and avoids lying down the controller. If the timer interrupt in IE register is enabled, whenever the timer rolls over, TF is raised and the microcontroller is interrupted in whatever it is doing and jumps to interrupt vector table to service the interrupt service routine. In this way, the microcontroller can do other until it is notified that the timer has rolled over. See the diagram. If the TF0 flag is raised, then it jumps to the interrupt vector location 000BH, which is related to timer 0 interrupt vector. For TF1, if TF1 flag raised, it jumps to location 001BH, which is the interrupt vector location for timer 1. Let me see the example of timer using polling method, which we have learned in our previous tutorial. Assume that crystal frequency is equal to 11.0592 MHz. Write a program to generate a square wave of 50 kHz frequency on pin number P2.3. We have to generate here square wave of 50 kHz frequency on pin number P2.3 by using polling method. Look at the following step. First we have to calculate T. T is equal to 1 by F, means 1 by 50, which will be equal to 20 millisecond. This is the period of square wave. We have to further divide it by 2 for the high and low portion of the pulse. The result will be 10 millisecond. For 10 millisecond the pulse will be high, and for 10 millisecond the pulse will be low. Then 10 millisecond will be divided by 1.085 microsecond, the value equal to 9216, and this is our calculation method. 65536 minus 9216 is equal to 56320 in decimal. This is our count that should be loaded to our TH and TL register, and its hexadecimal equivalent is DC00H. So we have to load the value DC, count value DC in TH register and 00 in TL register. So TL will be equal to 00 and TH will be equal to DC in hexadecimal. What we have to do first, we have to configure the timer mode. Move tmod, #10H for using timer in mode 1. Then again move TL1, #0, loading the 00 value in TL1 register, lower byte of timer. Move TH1 comma hash 0 DCH, loading the higher byte value in TH1 register. Then set B TR1 to start timer 1 and JNB TF1 back to back. This is the instruction where our microcontroller is busy during the polling method, and it is not capable to do any other task while observing the status of TF flag. When TF flag is raised, the next instruction will be execute clear timer 1, TR1, to stop the timer. Then complement P2.3 to generate continuous square wave on pin 2.3. S jump again instruction to reload the timer and continuously generate square wave on pin 2.3. This is the polling method for timer which we have used in our previous tutorials. Now write a program to generate a square wave if 50 Hz frequency on pin P1.2. This is a similar to previous example except that it uses an interrupt for timer 0. Assume that crystal is equal to 11.0592 MHz. So let's start. ORG0 is our initial origin directive. LJump main. This is for bypassing the interrupt service routine. It will jumps our program to main level, where it was started from the location org 30h. Move tmod comma hash 000000001, which will configure our timer 0 in mode 1. Move TL comma hash 00, our lower byte count. Move TH0 comma hash 0 DCH, our higher byte count is loaded. Move IE comma hash 82H. It is for enabling timer 0 interrupt. That we see, this is our IE register. EA interrupt enable should be 1 and ET0 is for timer interrupt, it should be 1. Rest of the bits should be 0. Serial communication 0, ET2 should be 0, no use should be 0. Then the value will be 8 2 82H hexadecimal value. It should be placed in a IE register in order to initiate timer 0 interrupt. So that's why we are placing 82H value in IE register. Then set B TR0 to start the timer. SJump here to wait until the interrupt request will be raised. So after raising the TF0 flag, it will jump to the interrupt vector location ORG000BH. This is the ISR for timer 0, where the next instruction is complement P1.2, then load the TL0 value again, TL0 00H, TH0 0 DCH, then RETI, return from interrupt. We are writing a program for timer by using interrupt. Here we didn't use the polling method, where we have to monitor continuously the status of TF0 flag by using JNB instruction, external hardware interrupt. The 8051 has two external hardware interrupts, pin 12 port 3.2 and pin 13 is a port 3.3 pin of the 8051, designated as INT0 and INT1, are used as external hardware interrupts. The interrupt vector table location belonging to that is 0003H and 0013H are set aside for INT0 and INT1. For the interrupt vector location, you can refer the interrupt vector table which was discussed in our previous tutorial. There are two activation level for the external hardware interrupts. One is level trigger, another one is edge trigger. I consider all of you aware with the triggering method, or what is level trigger or what is edge trigger. This is the activation of INT0. Pin 3.2 is for INT0. When level trigger method is used, this 0, this is the NOT gate, and it jumps to the vector location 0003H. For edge trigger should be 1 and it will be activated on falling edge of the pulse. See that this is the falling edge of the pulse, and IE0 in TCON register should be 1 for enable external interrupt as a edge trigger interrupt, and then it will jump to the vector location 0003H for the INT0. Similarly, for INT1, pin has been changed, pin 3.33 is used here. The rest of the mechanism is similar, only the TCON point 3 is used here for IE1 and its vector location is 0013H. Let me start with the level triggering interrupt. In the level triggered mode, INT0 and INT pins are normally high. If a low level signal is applied to them, it triggers the interrupt. Then the microcontroller stops whatever it is doing and jumps to the interrupt vector table to service that interrupt. The low level signal at the INT pin must be removed before the execution of the last instruction of the ISR, that is RETI, return interrupt. Otherwise another interrupt will be generated. So by default the status of INT0 or INT1 pin will be high. Whenever the low pulse is made available on that pin, it will trigger. Then the microcontroller stops whatever it is doing and jumps to the interrupt vector table to service that interrupt. So we have to remove the status 0 from that INT pin before the last instruction RETI has been executed. This method is called as level triggered or level activated interrupt, and it is default mode upon reset of the 8051. If you not configured any of the bit in TCON register for make it level trigger or edge trigger, by default the level trigger mode is activated upon reset of the microcontroller. This is the example of level trigger interrupt. Assume that INT1 pin is connected to a switch that is normally high. Whenever it goes low, it should turn on an LED. The LED is connected to pin P1.3. It is normally off. When it turns on, it should stay on for a fraction of a second. It should stay on for a fraction of a second. As long as the switch is pressed low, the LED should stay on. So INT1 is connected to this switch which is normally high, and LED is connected to P1.3. Whenever the status of this switch will go low, it should turn on this LED for a fraction of a second. Start the program. ORG00H. LJump main is for bypass interrupt vector table. This is our main program. Move IE, hash 10001000B. This is for global interrupt enable 1, and this bit is related to external interrupt INT1. SJump here, stay here until get interrupted. stay here. Whenever switch will pressed or the level of signal goes high to low, then it will jump to the interrupt service routine interrupt vector table ORG0013H, which is related to INT1 interrupt service routine. Then set B P1.3, this will turn on the LED. Move R3 comma hash 255, this is our count, which is loaded to register R3 for fraction of delay. DJNZ R3 comma back. Keep LED on for a while. For that, this loop is here. Then clear P1.3, then turn off the LED and RETI, return from interrupt. So this is the method using for level trigger interrupt, edge trigger interrupt. To make INT0 and INT1 edge trigger interrupt, we must program the bits of TCON register. Remember friends, by default the interrupt is configured as level trigger interrupt, but for configuring it as a edge trigger interrupt, we have to set the bits in TCON register. The TCON register holds among other bits the IT0 and IT1 flag bits that determines level or edge trigger mode of the hardware interrupt. IT0 and IT1 are the bits D0 and D2 of the TCON register. They are also referred to as TCON.0 and TCON.2 since the TCON register is bit addressable. This is the structure of TCON register we have seen in our previous timer tutorials. TF1, TR1, TF0 and TR0 are related to timer. TR for the timer run or stop. TF is the flag we have to monitor it raised whenever timer rolls over. These lower 4 bits are for interrupts. So IE1, IT1, IE0 and IT0 are for interrupt. IE1, which is also called as TCON.3, it is an external interrupt 1 edge flag set by CPU when external interrupt edge high to low transition is detected but cleared by CPU when interrupt is processed. Similarly, IE0 is for external interrupt 0. IT1 interrupt 1 type control bit set clear by the software to specify falling edge of the level trigger external interrupt. So to make the interrupt as a edge trigger, we have to set this bit IT1 or IT0. For external interrupt 1, we have to set this bit IT1 for making the interrupt as a edge trigger interrupt. We have to set IT0 bit for making the interrupt 0 as a edge trigger interrupt. Otherwise, by default, the value of these bits are 0, 0, 0, means the interrupt will be act as a level trigger interrupt. This is the example of edge trigger interrupt. Assume that pin 3.3 INT1, which is related to INT1 interrupt 1, is connected to a pulse generator where the incoming pulses from pulse generator will be arrived at pin 3.3. Write a program in which the falling edge of the pulse will send a high to P1.3, which is connected to LED or buzzer. In other words, the LED is turned on and off at the same rate as the pulses are applied to the INT1 pin. The LED should be turned on the falling edge of the pulse. Let's start the program. ORG00H for origin of program. LJUMP main is to bypass our interrupt service routine. This is our main program. Start with set B TCON.2 to make INT1 as a edge trigger interrupt. When the falling edge, this means that when the falling edge of the signal is applied to pin INT1, the LED will turn on momentarily. move IE comma hash 100000100B. This is to enable external interrupt INT1. This is enable interrupt bit our global interrupt, and this is for INT1 external interrupt 1. Here as jump here, stay here until get interrupted. Whenever the high to low falling pulse applied here on pin number 3.3 or INT1 pin, then it will jump to our interrupt vector location org 0013H, which is for INT1 ISR. Then next instruction will execute set B P1.3, which will turn on the LED or buzzer, whatever is connected to that pin. Then move R3 comma hash 255, it is the counter for some delay. DJNZ R3 comma back, keep the buzzer on for while. Then we should clear the pin P1.3. This will turn off the buzzer, and RETI instruction to return from interrupt service routine. So by this way we can program edge trigger interrupt for external hardware interrupt. Serial communication interrupt. All of you aware with the TI flag and RI flag. TI flag, transfer interrupt flag, is raised when the last bit of the frame data, the stop bit, is transferred, indicating that the SBUF register is ready to transfer the next byte. RI flag, received interrupt, is raised when the entire frame of data including the stop bit is received. In other words, we can say that when the SBUF register has a byte, RI is raised, it is indicate that the received byte needs to be picked up before it is lost or override by the new incoming serial data. RI and TI flags and interrupts. What is the relationship between RI and TF flags and interrupt? In the 8051 there is only one interrupt set aside for serial communication. We all know there are 6 interrupts. One is reset, 2 for timer 0 and timer 1, 2 for external interrupt INT 0 and INT 1, but there is only one interrupt for serial communication used for receive and transfer. This interrupt is used to both send and receive data. If the interrupt bit in the IE register, means IE.4, is enabled, which is reserved for serial interrupt, when RI or TI is raised, the 8051 gets interrupted and jumps to memory location 0023H to execute ISR. Memory location 0023H is assigned vector location for serial interrupt. In that ISR, we must examine the TI and RI flag to see which one caused the interrupt and respond accordingly. As there is a single interrupt for receive and transmit, after interrupt request we have to examine the status of TI flag and RI flag to see which one caused the interrupt and respond accordingly. As there is no separate interrupt for TI and RI, receive interrupt or transmit interrupt, we have to examine the status of TI and RI flag after getting interrupt request, which one caused the interrupt, and respond accordingly. Interrupt priority. The interrupt in 8051 has certain priorities. When the 8051 is powered up, the priorities are assigned according to the following. In reality, the priority scheme is nothing but the internal pooling sequence in which the 8051 pools the interrupts in the sequence listed in the response accordingly. Interrupt priority is nothing but a pooling sequence by which 8051 serves interrupt service accordingly. Here is the table, highest to lowest priority of interrupt. External interrupt 0 is the highest priority. After that, timer interrupt 0 is got second highest priority, then external interrupt 1 got third highest priority, timer interrupt 1 got fourth highest priority, then there is a serial communication interrupt which got last priority of interrupt. For example, if timer interrupt 1 and external interrupt 0 both request interrupt at the same time to microcontroller, then microcontroller should serve external interrupt 0 first, as it got highest priority of interrupt. So by this way the interrupts have their own priority upon reset. But we can alter the sequence of interrupt priority by assigning a higher priority to any one of the interrupt by programming the register called IP. This one is the IP register. Interrupt priority register is another SFR related to interrupt. To give higher priority to any of the interrupt, we make the corresponding bits in the IP register high. When two or more interrupt bits in the IP register are set to high, while these interrupts have a higher priority than other, they are serviced according to the sequence of the table shown in previous slide. This is our IP register, interrupt priority register. It is a bit addressable register. PT2, it is used for timer 2 in 8052. PSP is for serial port interrupt priority bit. PT1 is for timer 1 interrupt priority bit. PX1 is an external interrupt 1 priority bit. PT0 is for timer 0 interrupt priority bit. PX0 is for external interrupt 0 priority bit. For altering any of the interrupt priority, we should place 1 in that priority bit. For example, we want to make highest priority interrupt to timer 0. For that, we have to place 1 in PT1 here. Rest of the bits should be 0 0 0. Then our timer 0 interrupt will got highest priority. See here, priority bit is equal to 1, that will assign the highest priority. Priority bit 0 assign the lower priority. If more than one bit in IP, if we assign more than one interrupt in IP register with highest priority, for example PT0 and PX1, then the default priority is used for all the interrupts that have 1. If we place PT0 bit here 1 and PX1 is 1, means we are assigning highest priority to both the interrupt external interrupt 1 and timer interrupt 0. Then which interrupt get first serviced by microcontroller? At that case, it will follow the priority table where timer interrupt 0 is the highest priority than external interrupt 1. So timer interrupt 0 will get service first and external interrupt 1 will get service at the last. By this way, we can alter the interrupt priority by using interrupt priority register, IP register. Let us summarize. In this tutorial, we learned about program using timer interrupt, level trigger and edge trigger interrupt, program for external interrupt, serial communication interrupt, interrupt priority, and SFRs related to interrupts. Thank you. Thank you very much. Keep learning. It never ends.